Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for the introduction and already announcing everyone. It takes some work away from me. Thank you for coming here and joining this session on democratizing access to AI. So I would like to step immediately into the show and hand over to State Secretary Maissen. Please, Bernhard, could you share some view of why Switzerland thinks democratizing access to AI research and implementation is important?
Yes, thank you. Hello, everybody, dear panelists. Nina, thank you for giving me the floor. In the global technological and economic competition, countries have a strategic interest in developing sovereign AI capacities while also seeking international partnerships. Switzerland is well placed as a small country with diplomatic acumen and strong research and innovation capabilities. On the diplomatic side, Switzerland played an important role in the making of the Council of Europe's Convention on AI, Human Rights, Democracy, and the Rule of Law, and is currently active at the United Nations level to implement the Global Digital Compact provisions on AI. Since late 2023, numerous high-level AI summits have convened across different nations, reflecting the urgency of establishing collaborative frameworks for AI development and regulation. However, mounting geopolitical tensions and intensifying perception of AI race among leading nations threaten to deepen global polarization. Against the backdrop, political summits focused on AI cooperation become vital for fostering dialogue and preventing fragmentation. Recognizing this critical need, Switzerland will host an AI summit in Geneva in 2027. We are uniquely positioned to facilitate meaningful international cooperation due to our established role as bridge builder in the international community. Yet, all this multilateral talk is not enough if we cannot deliver on cutting-edge sovereign tech through innovative partnerships, thanks to our research institutions. This is why we are gathered to be here today. Switzerland aims to set a course for AI to prioritization, quality over scale, public-private collaboration, and ethical AI development. Two initiatives will be presented from a Swiss perspective. We will also demonstrate, in collaboration with our partners from AI Singapore, how the mentioned collaboration can work in practice. The Swiss National AI Institute has the goal to provide a national perspective on AI-based research, education, and innovation. Currently, researchers from ETH and EPFL are working towards a Swiss language foundation model focused on an open and trustworthy AI. The goal is to deploy models in core areas such as healthcare, sustainability, science, and beyond. True to its long-standing humanitarian tradition, the Federal Department of Foreign Affairs, ETH and EPFL, and international partners launched ICAIN, an initiative to create a global infrastructure for accessible compute on AI collaboration. With existing use cases and the institutionalization of the organization, we are seeking partnerships with a wide variety of stakeholders. ICAIN aims to ensure that as many voices as possible are heard in AI research and that AI solutions for real-world challenges are perceived to serve global public goods accessible worldwide, for instance, through equitable access to supercomputers. I'm now leaving you to the capable hands of our panelists and Nina, and I hope we can find ways to work together to ensure that AI is beneficial for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, State Secretary, for already laying a bit the ground on exactly these two concrete initiatives. And I think I would like to use the time now to dig a bit deeper. You had mentioned the Swiss-made LLM. I think that's what they called it. It was announced yesterday in the media. Professor Mennatallah El-Assady, Please tell us a bit more about what's this Swiss LLM, what you can already say, because I think it's not public yet, but what can you already share with us, and how can it be the ground layer for more access to AI research?
Thank you, Nina. So we're all very excited about the news that came out yesterday about the Swiss-made LLM. This is coming out of the Swiss National AI Institute, SNAI, which basically combines faculty members from ETH and EPFL, and also the Swiss AI initiative that brings in a lot of different people in a holistic ecosystem in Switzerland. The Swiss-made LLM is an effort from these researchers to try to produce an equitable and accessible language model. And the one that we have worked on is right now the largest truly open language model that is meant for serving society. So we worked with different principles to ensure that we can share it with the world and we can share it across different types of communities, whether it's for the research community, whether it's for the public and private sectors, or for people who are trying to work on different technologies through this open source principle. The model itself will be open source, not just open weight, and we have documented all of the steps that we have taken, so anyone can take what we have done and replicate it or host it themselves. We have worked on it to be multilingual by design, so we have integrated more than 1,000 languages and focused also on integrating maybe underrepresented languages like minority languages in Switzerland as well. We've also tried to be legally compliant by principle. So we were looking at data that would basically be suited to train this language model by reading in all of the requirements of like how data can be shared. So all of the opt-outs and so on were respected. So this LLM is designed to respect all of the legal requirements, whether it's by Swiss law or the EU AI Act. And we will be sharing not just one model, but different size models, so a 70 billion parameter model and another smaller one. And the idea here is to allow this to be an effort that basically is accessible to a lot of different frontiers and a lot of different applications. So people can take that, and instead of expensively training new models, they can take it, use it, and replicate it. It will be available with an open source license, an Apache 2 license. So it will be accessible for everyone who wants to use this in that open ecosystem. This whole effort is only possible because of the Swiss Supercomputer Center, so the CSCS has invested in infrastructure way before the hype. So there's a long-standing effort to actually invest in infrastructure. And there's also strategic funding coming from the ETH board that allowed us to actually work on this. So it's a very collaborative, very joint environment in which we're developing this with the hope to enable applications that would serve society, not just in Switzerland, but across the world.
Thank you so much. And I think we're going to deep a bit more into the use cases afterwards. But I would like to first see, now we have this model and we have this collaboration that you mentioned. But Professor Hartley, could you also describe us, I think Bernhard mentioned before ICAIN, which is kind of the international layer of this initiative. Could you describe that a bit further? I have to click, I think. Strongly, they told me. Voila, strongly, there it is. So, Annie, could you please describe us ICAIN, what it is? Maybe it's also interesting for the audience here, how they could join. Please give us a bit the framework, and then we will dig into the use cases later.
Yeah, sure. I think what we all saw with the use case over there is what is possible when people work together and when they are convened on purpose, right? And with a specific purpose in mind. It's so important. And to formalize that around these resources that we do have in Switzerland, we've made ICAIN, which stands for the International Computing and AI Network. Now, while it has been convened in Switzerland, it is intentionally international. It has a principle of decentralization, democratization of the resources that we have available, often in higher resource settings. And to convene, as you can see here in blue, the mission, to convene people working together and to broaden access to these really essential resources, such as massive scale compute. It's a very big deal what the Swiss government has done here, but not just in Switzerland, but around the world. And you'll see that that's the important word up there is network, where you can see the different partners that we've already convened around this, who are also donating their compute to this cause. And data, massive scale data. This data is important to curate. AI is data. We can't just compute thin air. So it's important that we convene on data that is purposeful and meaningful and directed. And indeed, we can't do anything with data and compute if we don't have the talent. And not just the talent of making models, but the talent of understanding where those models can be used and can be impactful. And the most important thing that we're convening around is that we're convening around, as I said before, a purpose. And that purpose, just like kind of CERN for AI, you can think of it like that. CERN over here was very, very impactful to look into, let's say, the black holes and molecular kind of particle physics, right? And instead of us doing that, we're rather looking into, let's say, black boxes, but really going deeper and having measurable impact as our focus. And here you can see the focus of the goals here in green, where we've got, again, these three major foci that are high impact and that allow us to not fragment our efforts. Because, you know, those things, people want those things. People want compute. They want data. And humans are humans, and we do compete. And it's important to convene people so that we dilute that ability of competition, because it actually can be quite destructive sometimes, and to go beyond our individual egos and to really come together to make something bigger. CERN was just so impactful with that. And so to convene people around these goals of climate and agriculture, for example, huge projects on weather with the data sets that we have here, to convene us around health and humanitarian action. Those are some models that I can speak about. That's my kind of focus. I'm working on these projects over here for large language models for medicine and humanitarian action. And here Menna can speak more about later, maybe about the education pole. And these are high impact areas. Convening people, you often call it a Tinder for impact, right? And if only there were more of those. So it's about making sure that people who know where the impact is supposed to go are convened with the resources that they need. Now, I did use the word donate earlier, right? They donated their resources, donated this, but it's not just donations. It's obviously costs money to run and to employ people, and a lot of people are doing this out of goodwill. But if we really want this to be impactful, it's important that we also convene around common funding on impact-based outcomes, and that we can show that impact is worth investing in and measure it so that we can actually have a return. And I think those are the real values of ICAIN, and I really thank the vision that was in Switzerland for convening and hosting this. But again, it's decentralized, and that relinquishment of power to make sure that you have access is actually very extraordinary. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Annie. And I would like to now go to Singapore. So Dr. Leslie, I managed in once. Dr. Leslie Teo, he couldn't be here in person, but he pre-recorded a message, and I think it was important for us to already showcase the concrete application and collaboration that has been mentioned by my colleagues before of this Swiss-made LLM with AI Singapore's work. So if I could ask the colleagues to show the very short video message by Dr. Leslie Teo from AI Singapore, please.
Swiss AI's development of state-of-the-art, open foundational models that are multilingual represents a key contribution to the global AI ecosystem. The Sea Lion team is proud to collaborate with Swiss AI to leverage on these open models to build more inclusive AI for Southeast Asia with its 700 million population. This partnership demonstrates how we can all work together to address diverse needs and different communities and languages across the globe.
Thank you so much. I hope it already gave you some ideas about this really international collaboration and concrete impact. I would like to use the last 15 minutes that we still have to talk a bit more about concrete use case. I think it would be helpful also to the audience. If you could dig a bit deeper, you mentioned the 3 thematic pillars of climate and agriculture, health and humanitarian, and education. And I would like to invite you, probably first, Annie, to present some, because you're also the PI of 2 of the health and humanitarian pillar use cases. So maybe, could you share with us your work on medical LLM and also humanitarian LLM? And before I hand you over the mic, I would just also like to honor 2 other professors who work in the climate and agricultural pillar. They couldn't be here today, but it's Professor Shira Maina from Kenya, and he works on a weather prediction model for Kenya and hopefully also Eastern Africa. And Professor Godliver Ovomugisha from Buzitema University in Uganda. She works on plant disease detection, and I hope that maybe next year we could invite them to present their work. But let's now dig into medical LLM and ICRC LLM. Annie, please.
Yeah, you know, the message from Dr. Leslie there was emblematic of how we are synergizing, right? We make this huge effort of this big model that costs a lot of money to make, a lot of expertise, data, effort, and instead of reinventing the wheel and doing another model and another model, we can take that, it's purposefully generic, and build on top of it, and to make sure that we're synergizing our efforts and not fragmenting them. Same thing is what we're doing here. A lot of people are speaking about sovereign AI, and this kind of sovereign AI can seem quite selfish, right? It's kind of opposite to the purpose, but actually it's sovereignable, right? It's how you can make these kinds of models your own and own them yourself, and that sovereignability is really the spirit of what decentralization we're trying to achieve. So taking that model, for instance, and now allowing people to, we build on it. We've got our own kind of pipeline that's purposefully generic to medicalize models, right? So if there's a new base model like this, we can just kind of sprinkle on top this pipeline that allows us to make it really medically focused. So it's really focused on that, and we make sure that we can put it on any base model so that people can own their own base model and medicalize it. So our model is called Meditron, and it's basically designed for people to use it and validate it in their setting. So what's really important for us is, again, with this principle of sovereignability, is also contextualization, allowing them to critically engage. We have a platform that goes with it, right, called Move, so that they can move their models closer to their own settings. It's MOOVE, so it's like massive, open, online validation and evaluation platform. And it allows us to take any model, critically evaluate it, and engage the end users who will actually be using it, so that they can see where it fails, see how their colleagues see where it fails, and build something that is really, really important for AI safety, which is vigilance. And this kind of vigilance can then be fed back into the model and move it closer to the cultural and contextual norms of where those models are going to be used. So moving kind of like these models will allow people to own them themselves, which is, again, this principle of decentralization and sovereignability, right? And then we have another one that we are working on. Both of these are with the ICRC, the International Committee for the Red Cross. And their guidance is just so important about ensuring humanitarian principles are embedded into these models. Independence and transparency, well, neutrality and impartiality and humanity, of course, are the principles. But this kind of baking it into the model in the way it's designed is important to them, and it puts a pressure on how we design these models as well. So putting all of those things together, we made another model where we had Meditron for medicine, right? And we had thousands of doctors around the world are now moving their models toward their context. We also have another one for international humanitarian law, or IHL. It's the law that dictates war crimes, for example. And it's something that's really important for us to understand how models understand this law, but also for us to have a more conversational interface with this kind of tool and to hopefully have better access and validated access to this kind of information. And it's called Legitron. And now lawyers around the world, it's convened also by ICRC, will be testing this and exploring how models understand this very important body of information and if it can be used in practice as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I think that explained a bit like the concrete applications. And I think one of the other pillars that's from ICAIN is also, sorry, I'm losing my voice, is the educational pillar. So, Menna, could you give some concrete examples? I'm sorry for my voice.
Yeah, so for the education pillar, I wanted to highlight maybe two different initiatives. One that we started a long time ago where we are collecting different challenges, and this last semester, we ran the first iteration of a course at ETH called Human-Centered AI for Social Good, and we focused on climate, peace, and health applications. The way this course was set up is pretty unique. So on the one hand, all of the partners who kind of came to us with different challenges, whether it's the ICRC, methodological organizations, and others, we kind of assembled all of this and tried to kind of form them into course projects. The other unique aspect is the interdisciplinarity of the way we set it up. So we collaborated across 4 different departments with professors coming from different perspectives and put together teams of technical people, of domain experts, and others in order to work in interdisciplinary fashion as teams of students working together to solve one of these challenges through human-centered design principles. And we produced different applications and different models in order to figure out how we can address these challenges with all of these principles that we can actually assemble from research. So for example, we have models that build on climate modeling, where we developed interfaces for counterfactual explainability or trying to answer questions like, what if this parameter would be different? Or what if my own understanding would form like this and that? We have also other collaborations where we are looking at peacekeeping scenarios and how we can actually address decision-making in these types of very complex tasks. Or models where we are looking for the help of AI in healthcare and how we can adjust and personalize the interfaces and the interaction and co-adaptation of them through the interaction. So we just concluded this course. We're very open to collaboration, and we're very welcoming to anyone who is interested to work on us on the next iteration of this course. You'll find all of the prototypes online at our website at ETH, so if you want to play around with them, you're also welcome to do so. And then the other example that I want to highlight very briefly, because it's just in its starting phase, is a collaboration that we will start through ICAIN with Data Science Africa, where we'll be working on an educational game to really teach the base principles of what it means to think in a computational manner and to use AI in an equitable and explainable and trustworthy way. So our idea is to develop a card game. We will be working together with researchers from Data Science Africa and also with users across different places, for example, here in International Geneva, but also in other places, to just try to tailor that to different use cases and user groups. So I'm very excited about this starting soon. And we, as I said, we're very open to also join other initiatives with the effort that we're doing to make it collaborative and to make it equitable and available for everyone for a social good purpose.
Thank you so much. I think you, oh, now they pulled out my mic. I'm good again, so you can leave it. Thank you. I think you use it, you call it a driver's license, AI driver's license. I like the title. So we're already at the end, and I hope you portrayed the message, and I hope you received it, the audience received it, that it's really a joint effort, and we're open for other joiners to this very different use cases. Could you, because we've been here last year, and I hope we can be here next year again. So if you could just share, like, in 1-2 sentences of what you think, what actions are needed, like now, so we can like scale maybe and present like more impactful use cases, quantitatively more impactful use cases next year. Who, like Annie, maybe?
Yeah, so just a side note, if you want to see like the impact of ICAIN already, I'm really excited that I'm going to be working with Menna, and we're collaborating now because of this network, and it's just so much like the powers combined of all of the people in her lab, all of the people in our lab, we can reach scale. And for people to recognize that academia and research can scale, and there isn't this kind of like brush that they tarnish us with where they, oh, they're just going to publish papers, and they don't care about implementation. Implementation is science. We should measure impact. There is impact-driven science. And for us to value that and to understand that it does happen, and you're not just investing in papers that are published and filling holes in textbooks, that we can and we have direct and concrete and measurable impact. And for us to communicate that, I think the next most important step really is to ensure that people who are funding the 3 guys in a garage that are making, you know, the next big LLM, that they understand the power that we can have with our huge network of just wonderful talent, the students, the resources, the data, the power and the respect for also measuring evidence and basing it on that. I think if we can communicate that well and we can get funded to the extent that we are able to scale like that, that's the only thing that's really stopping us, right? And I think that's something that we need to advocate for, and hopefully, I think I can feel the tide is changing, and hopefully maybe there's someone in the audience who's feeling generous. Ah, there we go, we have someone, okay.
Fantastic. Thank you. Menna, what's your wish for a call to action?
I can only echo what Annie just said, and maybe add to it that we are really, really looking forward to work together and collaborate. Our websites are available, are open. We have forums online where anyone can go in and submit challenges that you would like human AI partnership to solve. We are open to figuring out how we can synergize with other ecosystems. We just described the very vibrant Swiss ecosystem, the international collaborations that we've already established, but I think there's a lot more opportunity to network. And I think it's really crucial to translate the research that we are doing, the human-centered AI research, the collaborative and co-adaptive work that we are producing from these 2 institutions and others into practice, and to make that available through this giant network that we have. So I'm really, really excited about the next year. Hopefully we'll be back here presenting other use cases and maybe counting impactful and measurable social good practices that we can actually present as use cases. So I'm really looking forward to that in the next year.
Thank you, Bernard. Thank you, first of all, to Switzerland to enabling this initiative. I think that's important. You opened the floor. I'd like to hand over to, so you can close the floor.
Thank you very much. Well, I think it was very important and interesting to have you here. We're on the political level. We discuss about principles, and now we saw what means to live these principles, concrete examples, and we are really on the good way. And I'm looking forward to see you next year and have more examples how it works. And we are really looking on the political level to create a framework who lets this collaboration really be alive. And so thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my panelists, for taking the time. Thank you, audience, to listening, and I hope it inspired you. Please reach out. Thank you.